a garage. I don't recall. I don't remember the name of the garage, but it was just behind the filling station.
And what's the distance between that and the depot?
I think maybe 3 or 4 kilometers.
Okay. Then, in that discussion with Captain Duma, at that point, do you then discuss how this operation is going to be conducted? Now that he briefs you that there is this information, what do you guys agree who's playing which role, who does what?
No. Captain Duma just told us that he's been to the depot, so we'll follow him to the depot for inspection of the container. Then we proceeded to the depot. We entered at the main gate of the depot. We proceeded straight down the road, and then we parked somewhere there. There were some area where we parked. Then Kenneth Jacobs jumped out of the car with Captain Duma.
Just before that, so you're saying the three of you, that's Bangase and Jacob,
we were in one vehicle.
Sorry?
We were in one vehicle, Chair.
The three of you?
Yes.
And then Captain Duma?
He was driving alone.
He was driving alone?
Yeah.
And around, this is now around what time? Still around 8?
8, no. Past
Okay.
8.
Past 8.
Remember that Bangase requests me for assistance.
Yes.
Around 8.
Yes.
From Durban Central to Phoenix, picking up Kenneth Jacob, drive to Isipingo. I think maybe around something like 9:30.
Okay. No, that's fine. You then you don't discuss what your role is and all
No,
of
we
this?
did not discuss the roles there.
Okay. And in terms of who's in charge, was it assumed that because Colonel Jacobs is senior?
Protocol dictates that the senior member always take control.
Okay, and that's what you assumed. Then you went to the depot, CHC depot, and you said you've never been there yourself.
Yeah, it was the first time being there.
Okay. Now, I want to understand the setup of the depot according to you, right? When you get to the depot, who gets in first? Is it yourselves or Captain Duma? I would imagine he goes.
We were driving behind Captain Duma's car all the time.
And in terms of the security of the depot itself, I think there was testimony that it was controlled, but just on your own version.
Yeah, there was one security guy at the boom gate next to the main road. Just one security guy at the boom gate.
Okay, and do you sign in?
He had a conversation with Duma. Then we followed Duma after that.
So Jacobs and Bangas and yourself never had any discussion with
No. Duma opened his window, he explained to the security guy, then we followed.
Okay. And then you parked?
We parked, yeah, we drove down the passage, then we stopped, and then they jumped out of the cars, then they proceeded to the offices of the management.
So just speak up a bit. Yeah.
When the vehicles were parked,
Yes.
Captain Duma and Kenneth Jacobs went to the offices of the depot managers.
Okay. And you and Warrant Officer Bangas stayed behind?
We remained next to the cars there.
Okay. Just before we get to that, in terms of the layout of the depot, right, and in terms of security, is it other than the security at the gate, would there be any other security personnel at the depot, according to your knowledge?
It can happen that there were other police security officers, because when we started inspecting the container, I saw some of the securities there.
Okay, and were they armed?
No, I didn't see firearms.
Okay. And the security at the gate, was he armed?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Don't remember.
All right. And then let's go back to the discussion. So Colonel Jacob and Captain Duma they come back. Do they brief you?
They came back with a lady. I think she introduced herself as Mrs. Pili and other
Yes.
people that were accompanying them. And then she pointed at the container that we were interested in, but the container was stacked with other containers on top.
Okay. So at the layout, right, the container was on top.
It was on top, yes.
All right. And was it marked, specially marked or anything like that?
They've got the container numbers so that they use to distinguish which container is this.
Okay. And so, when you have a briefing, then the agreement, you are part of this agreement, right? Is that the container will be moved to a particular point?
Obviously, Chair, for the container to be inspected, we have to bring it down from the stack and then open it, inspect it.
Okay. So, and in terms of the mobility on the space, I would presume that, you could move the container anyway, or you would disagree with that?
After the other containers were moved for them to be able to reach that container that we were looking for, then the space was not there.
So within the depot, you wouldn't be able to move it anywhere, the container?
I wouldn't know because the containers are stacked to maybe even more than 6 meters high. So, but where we were, there was no space.
Maybe let me ask the question differently. Colonel Jacob said that, and I think this was on the first day he gave his testimony, he said that the container you wanted to search could have been moved from where it was, where you believed or he believed there were impediments to a proper search and even a proper conduct of what needs to be done at a crime scene. And that as a result, or rather he said, the container could be moved to another spot within the depot, another spot at which the search and seizure could then be conducted properly without any hindrance.
Okay.
I'm sure you would not dispute that.
I want to respond, Chair.
All right.
Remember, Chair, myself and Pangase, we remained in the parking. And then they went around.
So they would have seen...
maybe they might have seen the space where maybe the
so
container...
you are not in a position to dispute what he said?
No, I'm not in a position to dispute it.
Yes. So it's those things. I think. Thank you, Chair. It was that I think in his testimony he later did say that it could have been moved, but what that forces me to ask then is, when you say it couldn't, would you still maintain that now?
According to my observation,
No, I'm saying now.
if he said so, then it could be. Maybe it could have been moved. If maybe there's a space that he saw that I didn't see.
Yes. Okay.
But we drove down from the gate. There's a long fence along our left-hand side of and then these containers here. Then we parked at the bottom there. So from that area, there was no area for a container to be searched. But because they went around to the management offices, maybe they were able to identify other places that they could have placed a container.
Okay. So perhaps just to be fair to you, I just want to ask it in a different way. It's the same answer, is that from where you were sitting at the time,
Yes.
and your answer must be understood in the context that at the time, you did not necessarily understand the layout and whether they could have been
Yes.
elsewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just check on this? You've just said that there was no, from where the container was parked and what you saw in terms of space, there was no area to work where you could have conducted
Yes.
the search. In your statement, you say the space was limited for us to work as the machinery was moving up and down.
Yes.
That's your explanation. If the machinery was not moving up and down, at least that's what the statement suggests, that if there was no machinery moving up and down, you could have worked there. That's what this is conveying.
No, Chair, even in between the containers, the space was very minimal for us to be able to lay all the bags. It was going to be very difficult for us to move within the containers there.
Sorry, explain. The containers would have been lined up, right? I think that's how I understood the evidence, that
Right.
you had containers lined up,
Yes.
and then yours is one of them, and the door is open. Can maybe just explain in your words?
Okay. I'm saying, Chair, when they were moving the containers, they moved the top container, place it on the side, take the next container, place it on the other side, take the container that we were interested in, place it on the side. Then the space there was not enough for us to be able to do the counting.
Explain that space. Which space are you referring to?
I'm meaning the space in front of the container that we were about to inspect.
And the front is the door side of
Yes,
the
where the
container.
container is opening.
What constricted the space?
It was the containers that were placed around the container.
No, let's just forget about those. We accept, okay, they are alongside each other. Let's forget about that space. Tell us about the rest of the space. Tell us about
I'm
the
not
rest of the
getting you,
space.
Chair, if you are saying I must forget about the containers and tell you.
We've heard. I don't mean that becomes irrelevant. No, I'm saying we've fine. Thanks, Kennel. We've heard about that. The fact of the containers. Let me use parked alongside each other. We've heard about that. Now tell us about the rest of the space.
The machinery also was moving.
Where exactly was the machinery moving?
Picking up containers from the other side of the depot, and there were also other people conducting inspections.
But in relation to the space that you wanted, you would otherwise have used, where was the machinery moving?
Next to the containers.
Where's next?
I don't understand, sir, if you say where's next.
There's behind, there are sides, there's everything else. You were there, you know it better
Behind
than
and
I.
in front of the containers.
I think Commissioner Kumalo is going to try and
Maybe why don't
clarity
you-
for us.
Why don't you please put up that picture we saw yesterday where we have a few containers alongside each other?
Just while they are checking that, where are the photos of the scene that you took?
I forwarded all the photos to Colonel Jacobs. He printed the photos and then put them in the inquiry file.
Now, you see the pictures?
Yes, I can see the
You see the
picture.
pictures?
I can see the picture, Chair.
Yeah. Would the one that, or was the one you were to search, was it somewhere in the middle or was it to the side?
I don't recall, Chair.
Okay. Now, if you are able to, looking at this picture, where would the machinery, or where was the machinery moving?
You know, Chair, when you're looking at that picture, the machinery will be moving in front to the other side of the container.
That side, that is
In
opposite
in-
where the doors are.
In
When you
front
say
of the,
mm.
in front of the door, then we'll be moving to that other side.
Right across
The
where
front
the
of
doors
picture,
are.
yes.
And how far would that be from the container itself, or how far was that from the container itself? Or how far was the machinery from the containers or the doors of the containers?
If the machinery is supposed to leave,
And please estimate in meters. I'm sure as a police officer you are able to do that.
I'm trying to respond, Chair.
I'm sorry if I sounded impatient,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I'm saying, Chair, if the machinery is about to pick up the container, it will come very close to the container. But if it's moving in front of the container to lift other containers on the side, maybe it can have a distance.
Oh, so you are saying the containers that were with the one you wanted to search, some of them were being moved as you were there. Some of those that were already lined up together with the one you wanted to search, you are saying some of those were being moved as you were there, wanting to conduct the search.
Not necessarily the ones that were next to the one that we were about to search, but the movement of the machinery was happening there, Chair.
In that case, I don't understand the relevance then of, rather, I don't understand why you would refer to these, the machinery in relation to these containers. I don't understand. If they were moving other containers, not the ones alongside the one you wanted to search.
They were moving other containers, passing the ones that we were interested in searching.
Coming to pick up the one they wanted to, the one that was to be moved, or the ones that were to be moved, or coming from and already carrying the container. We're trying to get a picture of the impediments or hindrances. And right now, you've not explained this in a manner that we understand. Let me tell you what we were told by Colonel Jacob. We did not want upfront to tell you, because I thought maybe your explanation would tie in with what he told us. The only hindrance in terms of movement that he told us about was that there was movement behind you, 2 meters behind you. He never said anything that suggests that there was movement of machinery right next to the containers, with containers being picked up. Well, maybe he did not necessarily mean that containers were not being picked up, but he said this was behind you, 2 meters from the containers. Would you confirm that that was so, or that he is, or would you rather say he is mistaken?
Chair, for me, I saw some of the machinery moving in front of the containers.
I want you to just confirm or dispute what I've just put to you, which is what he said. That is, there was movement behind you as you are facing the containers, and that this was 2 meters from the doors of the containers.
Thank you for...
So you are between the movement and the doors of the containers.
Thank you for clarifying that now.
Would
When
you
we are facing the container,
Yes.
I was thinking of the back of the container.
No.
Okay.
So would you confirm that?
Yes, sir.
That was the case.
That was the case.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
I think for the record, it's very important, Advocate Skakane, to be fair to this witness. And I know Advocate Sillo is sitting next to you. She can confirm if I'm correct or not. The photo we are looking at is not, it's the one of the 1,000 kg bust a month later. So this scene is not the scene where the CDH depot incident in June happened?
Commissioner Khumalo, I confirm it was pulled up yesterday and for demonstration purposes to deal with the point Colonel Jacob was making about what he meant by the sides of the container. That definitely I confirm does not relate to this particular seizure. It's
I was looking at his facial expression.
Of course, he didn't
And
recognize that.
his facial
scene at all.
expression was, they are tricking me. This can't be the container. So I
Just
have
for
to be
the
fair to him.
demonstrative
Apologies,
purposes. Yes.
No,
apologies.
thank you very much, Chair, because even those containers, they are not stacked. That is why I'm wondering now, where did you get this picture?
Apologies, Colonel, because I'm the one who asked for this to be put up. I should have said it's purely for illustrative purposes.
Thank you,
I
sir.
apologize.
Advocate Silo, while we are on this point, I think it's important that Colonel Jacob provides those photos that the Colonel says were taken and given to him, and they were filed somewhere. Because some of the explanations he has given will require that we look at those photos.
We have two options. There are photos of the scene regarding this particular seizure in the files, but I don't seem to recall a photograph that depicts precisely what the Colonel is saying. The best we can do for now is to go into the investigation files and the inquiry files. Those are our formal source documents to see if we can extract all the pictures availed there. If not, then we'll have to turn to Colonel Jacob and request him to provide such photographs as have not been submitted through the inquiry file or the investigation docket.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The transcription does not capture the facial expression, but you should have seen it, and that bothered me.
So it could always draw the expression in the transcript. Thank you, Commissioner.
So in addition to apologizing to the Colonel for the confusion, I should thank my co-commissioner, Commissioner Khumalo.
Can I then go back to my question? Now that the confusion has been cleared, that the doors of the container are open, you are facing the container, the space, you're not inside the container, you're outside the container. My question was, if the machinery, there was no machinery there that was operating, and maybe let me amend it so that it's clearer maybe what I'm asking, that if you had cordoned off an area that prevented machinery from moving in front of there, is there a reason why you wouldn't have been able to inspect?
Considering the magnitude of the bags and the space required for the bags, still we were not going to be able.
So the reference to machinery as a factor is completely irrelevant then. It has to be irrelevant for the purpose of my discussion with you and the answer that you are giving, that in fact movement of machinery is irrelevant, of no consequence, because geographically there was no space to deal with that number of bags
It's not.
on the spot.
So, sorry, Chair, it's not irrelevant because it's one of the factors that caused us to move that caused Kenny Jacob to move the crime scene.
The reason I'm saying it's irrelevant is if I accept your answer as your explanation of that space, I'm saying it wouldn't matter that there was machinery or not, because on your version, the space anyway wasn't there for you to do this search there and then, where you in front of the container. It sounds to me like it has to be like that, if the space is indeed what you're saying.
Yes.
Right? So geographically, that space was impossible in front of the container, anywhere in front of the container, the space was so limited that even without machinery moving up and down, which somehow was able to move up and down, but even without that machinery, you could not have conducted the search in front of the container.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just to follow up on, we'll get to the discussion. So the container is moved, right? So you're saying at the time when you open the container and you remove the exhibits or the bags, and I think the point, your version is that you couldn't process the scene because of we'll get to the details. Now, I'm trying to understand whether you as the police, was it not a possibility that you could cordon off the scene, stop these other machines that were being driven around, so that you make sure that you do the job? Because in some instances, that's what happens in crime scenes.
Yes.
Was it not a possibility?
It was a possibility, Chair.
And do you know, and your version was, do you still maintain the version that you couldn't?
It was a possibility to cordon off the whole area
Okay.
and close it down. It was a possibility to close the area so that we were able to operate. But it would have meant that even though those containers that were close to this container that we were intending to search, they would have been also to have to be moved so that we can have enough space to work.
Yes, I'm just saying that as a possibility that could have happened
Yes,
in a scene.
yes, it could have happened.
Okay. And I just want to understand, because what we're dealing with is 27 bags. And what I find difficult, can I just ask, when you went to Ispingo, these bags were laid at the parking lot.
Yes.
Now, would you say that parking lot, this is now where I want you to compare the two scenes. I wouldn't, it's not the crime scene, but just the areas. Obviously, in a parking lot, again, there's movement. Correct?
There is movement, but very minimal.
Sure.
And it's at the police station.
It's at the police station.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that, but there is movement. It's a busy police station, I would imagine. It's a police station.
Yes, the police station.
Correct. But you were able to sort of isolate where you were working.
Yes.
Okay. Can I just request us to flight one of the pictures at page 516 of the exhibit bundle?
Kakani, in our files, it will be what file?
It should be file 2.
CJC?
CJC 242. But I'm interested in pages 516 onwards. Are you there, Commissioner Baloyi? So I want us to, unless there's other bags, in your understanding, were those the bags that were found in the container?
Yes, Chair, these were the bags that were found.
My difficulty is that they seem to have fitted there in a single parking bay,
It's not a single parking bay.
okay?
It looks like
Please,
two.
please speak up, please speak up.
It's two parking bays.
Oh, is it two? Okay, anyway, let's give it two, it's fine. But wouldn't that space, you wouldn't have found that space in the depot?
Straightly,
We wouldn't find it.
straightly. It's not the whole of the second parking bay though. They're straddling the line separating the two parking bays, or not?
Yeah, remember, Chair, we were still going to take out exhibits from inside the bag and place them on the side, do the counting on the side. So we needed a little bit more space to do that. And the security also, because while we were there at the depot, once people got to know there are drugs found, they started coming close.
Yeah, we'll go to that. My point is, when to offload the impression is that you couldn't place these, let's say, the bags, or unless I'm wrong, you could place these bags within the depot. What was, according to you, a difficulty is when you open these bags
Start with the counting.
and starting the counting.
Placing them
Okay.
out of the bags.
And obviously what you would say, your version would be that at the parking lot, you then isolated and counted, right? And how long does that take at the police station, the counting?
I don't remember exactly how long it took us, but it took us some time.